Is Elon Musk causing Tesla's stock price to crash? In this video, we're going to discuss some criticism against Elon, which is saying just that. And this is important to know because most of us, including myself, are holding a lot of Tesla stock. And even if you don't own any Tesla, it is still key to track this stock because it's pretty much a bellwether for this bull market. Where Tesla goes, the stock market is going to follow. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this is becoming even more true with this huge cluster that is forming. And oh man, it's gonna be a mess. But let's jump into it. So this whole story starts with when Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. You remember this happened a few weeks ago. And their statement was that they wanted more flexibility to further diversify and maximize returns on their cash. So you know Tesla sells cars in many different countries, and these countries all have different currencies. So Tesla, just like any other multinational company, has to deal with these currency fluctuations. You accept payment in a currency that's weaker than the dollar, then it has to be converted into the dollar and you can lose out on that transaction. So companies like Tesla are buying Bitcoin to help with some of that. But this was a controversial move for Tesla because Elon tends to manipulate these cryptocurrencies a lot through his Twitter. Every time he mentions Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, you see it shoot up many percentage points. So you can see right here his Twitter. This actually used to say Bitcoin. And the day that he changed it to Bitcoin, Bitcoin shot up like 10%. Now it says Doge all day, Doge all night, which is another cryptocurrency that Elon keeps talking about. His latest tweet, even as I'm making this video, is Dogecoin to the moon. And if you go through his Twitter feed, it's a lot of talk, not just about SpaceX and rockets and Tesla, but cryptocurrencies constantly. But again, every time he tweets about it, he influences the price. He actually took Bitcoin out of his profile once it was revealed that Tesla had a big position. So the criticism he gets right off the bat is, hey, he's manipulating these cryptocurrencies that he's invested in. And it's crazy because since Tesla bought that Bitcoin, they've made about $1 billion of profit on it. That's how much it's gone up since they purchased. And now Tesla is on a trajectory to make more from its Bitcoin investments than from actually selling cars, which is their main business. So regardless of whether Elon was pumping these cryptos or not, it clearly was a good investment because of how much they made, at least on the upside. But what do people never think about? They never think about the downside. And that's a lot of what we think about here at Fallible. So along those lines, the criticism against Elon is that he has now tied Tesla to Bitcoin. So the price of Tesla will fluctuate with the price of Bitcoin because they have so much invested in it. So again, it was great for the upside because they made $1 billion, but what about the downside? And that's what Daniel Ives, an analyst at Wedbush, has been saying. Musk is now tied to the Bitcoin story in the eyes of Wall Street. And although Tesla made $1 billion paper profit in its first month owning this digital gold, it comes with added risk. On the downside, it's playing with firecrackers, and risks and volatility are added to the Tesla story. So with Bitcoin becoming more and more popular, a lot of people are investing in stocks that focus on Bitcoin or that are invested in Bitcoin as a proxy. Instead of buying Bitcoin directly, you buy these stocks. And now because Tesla bought Bitcoin, they're kind of being grouped into that for Wall Street. So when you buy a share of Tesla, you're not just betting on Elon and his vision for the future, you're also betting on Bitcoin. And that's why he's getting flack for this, because Tesla was already pretty volatile by itself, and now you're attaching it to Bitcoin, which is super volatile. And you can see here this week Bitcoin plummeted over 20%. And then what happened to Tesla was very similar. It dropped like crazy too. Again, almost the same amount as Bitcoin dropped. So again, you got these two volatile things tied together. And I love this meme right here. Being a crypto trader is not stressful at all. John, 26 years old. Yeah, volatility will do that to you. Now, part of the reason Bitcoin dropped so hard this week is because of our girl Janet Yellen, the new Treasury Secretary. She sounded a warning about how extremely inefficient Bitcoin is. So she was on CNBC and she said that she doesn't think that Bitcoin is widely used as a transaction mechanism. To the extent that it is used, she fears that it's often for illicit finance. It's also an extremely inefficient way of conducting transactions, and the amount of energy that's consumed in processing those transactions is staggering. Meaning, Bitcoin is not very environmentally friendly. You can see here the electric consumption used in the process leaves an annual carbon footprint equal to the nation of New Zealand. There's a heck of a lot of energy being used for all these computers to carry out the mining that Bitcoin requires for the blockchain. Now, when Yellen made these comments, Bitcoin plummeted. And this kind of goes into what we've been talking about, how the government does not want Bitcoin to be a thing. I agree with Ray Dalio on this. And right now they're taking this energy angle because we do have a more green-oriented government with Biden coming in. But even beyond that, no government government wants a currency that is out of their control because they love to print. And if you can print and you have that reserve currency under your thumb, then you have power. Why give that power up? And that's Ray Dalio's viewpoint on the whole thing about why Bitcoin can't become a real currency. It can be kind of like a gold alternative, according to Dalio, but no, not a currency, because the government will fight tooth and nail to make it so. So again, the criticism is, why did Elon tie his company to Bitcoin? That was echoed by Peter Schiff, one of the most famous perma-bears. Dude is always very, very negative. He tweeted out 2 weeks after Elon Musk announced that he spent $1.5 billion of shareholder money on buying Bitcoin, Tesla stock entered a bear market, plunging 20% from its all-time high, and 16% since disclosing its Bitcoin buy. Not an example other CEOs will likely follow. And Elon replied with an eggplant emoji. Amazing. Peter replied too, saying, "Oh, so you're calling me a dick?" Someone cleared it up for him. No, it means anal. So Peter said, "What? So you really told me to stick it up my ass?" And yes, this is the entertainment that we get on Twitter. But there was another exchange with Peter Schiff. He said, according to Elon Musk, Bitcoin is almost as BS as fiat money. And Peter Schiff said, "I agree, but gold is not BS. It's real money and better than both being US dollars and anything else." He's a huge gold bug, Peter Schiff. Elon responded to that, saying, "An email saying you have gold is not the same as having gold. You might as well have crypto. Money is just data that allows us to avoid the inconvenience of barter. That data, like all data, is subject to latency and error. The system will evolve to that which minimizes both," which is very true. I mean, unless you have the gold bar in your hand, someone saying, "Hey, they have your gold in a vault," what does that really mean? Just like when I look at my bank account and I see all these numbers, but I never have the cash in my hand, I just use a little plastic card to transfer those numbers somewhere else. What's it all mean? It's all just fiat anyway, right? And then Elon tweets, "That said, Bitcoin and Ethereum do seem high, lol." So just like he can manipulate it to the upside, he can manipulate it to the downside too, which is once again another reason people were saying why Bitcoin fell. So again, why did he tie to Bitcoin? Why is he talking about Bitcoin, pushing the price higher and lower? What's going on? More criticism against the whole thing is by this guy, Eric. This is just a good tweet storm that I found. "Hilarious watching Elon Musk con some Bitcoiners in real time. The essence of the scam is to tie his company and Bitcoin together through dunking on the reviled elitist institutions. Not much different than how thousands of others are building a loyal consumer base following. The golden age of fraud, the golden age of sociopaths, the golden age of social media confidence trick. Being a victim is a highly seductive mental state." And I don't even mean to attack Bitcoin and Tesla. The point is the specific cultural and social vulnerability which is enabled by social media. The con can be done with almost anything as long as it is opposed to the perceived ruling institutions. The simplicity and certainty we crave do not exist. And what he's saying here is interesting because it goes back to the whole GameStop thing and the whole populist movement against Wall Street, trying to stick it to them, which is great and I support it, but also in the meantime, you have all these people profiting off of it. So it comes back to the stupid, dumb money retail trader getting screwed by Wall Street. And that criticism has been thrown on guys like Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool, Chamath, the guy who releases a SPAC every single week, and of course, Elon. And they're like, yeah, you're benefiting from this populist movement against Wall Street, but really, you are the suit, you are Wall Street, you're making a bunch of money off of this. So you're leading people into a fire while you profit, and they're likely to be left bag holders and be screwed. Now, as far as Dave Portnoy and Chamath go, I don't know. There are a lot of people doing this, but I won't say it's them in particular, because you won't know until it's all over. Elon, though, I think is definitely not doing that. So that leads us back to the question, is Elon causing Tesla's stock price to crash? With all this stuff that he keeps doing, what is his goal? My answer is no. I don't think Elon is trying to do anything in particular other than troll. And that's because I do think that Elon understands markets and he understands how detached they can become from reality. He's been to the brink when it comes to markets. 2008, he was sleeping on a couch, didn't have any money, was just trying to keep Tesla and SpaceX alive. He knows how crazy things can get. That's why in the past he said Tesla stock price is too high. That sent the shares going crazy. But at the end of the day, because he doesn't care, it really is just trolling on the internet. But if we look at this stock price, what's going on? Well, in the last video we did on Tesla, remember I drew this little channel right here because Tesla was consolidating. And what do we know about markets? They go through periods of compression and consolidation and then expansion. That's how markets move, constantly fluctuating between those two states. So in this case, I said, hey, if Tesla breaks to the upside outside of this channel, meaning it expands upwards, that's a good signal. It's a bullish signal. Where on the other hand, if it breaks this channel, then you got to be careful. And sure enough, it did break this channel. And then I also said, okay, if it breaks this channel, you're going to run up right against this 50-day moving average, which sure enough we did. And then we talked about, hey, if it breaks this 50-day moving average, that is another bearish signal. And it broke it pretty hard. And the 50-day is only important because that should be a decent support level. It's a place where buyers will come in and push the stock price back up. So we saw this thing collapse, but we did see that huge rebound higher. But still, Tesla is in a tough tough position because it's resting under this 50-day, and it did have this bearish break. This is not good. This is weakness in the stock. Now, what's really interesting to see here is how much of a cluster this entire market is becoming. And this is what I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I said is getting way out of control. Because now we got Tesla, which is very volatile, tied to Bitcoin, which is very volatile. And in the middle of that, we also have ARK Invest with Cathie Wood. And during this whole big drop, Cathie Wood's ARK Invest funds bought a further 171 million of Tesla shares. And Tesla shares account for 10% of their ARK Innovation Fund. And this is all happening while short interest in that fund shares are showing a massive spike. So people are circling around her funds. And you can see, just like Bitcoin and Tesla, ARK Invest, the ETF, dropped 20% too. And why wouldn't it when they're all so tied together? And these funds that are trying to short that ETF, it's because they see liquidity issues coming down the pipeline for ARK. Because Cathie is invested in a lot of volatile stocks, a lot of small stocks too. So when those stocks start plummeting, when this bull market turns, a lot of people are predicting that ARK is going to have a very tough time with that. They're not going to be able to get out. They're going to lose a lot of money. And think about the three things that we're talking about here: Bitcoin, Tesla, and ARK Invest with Cathie Wood. Huge retail names, the most popular things in the market right now. And you got them all forming together in this big correlated cluster. It's turning into this giant retail bomb where if one domino falls, the rest will fall too. And these three things can drop very hard together, which is setting up a bunch of retail traders to be crushed. So how do you protect yourself from this crash that is gonna come? I mean, even Elon knows it, right? Well, we made a video explaining the best way to be investing in Tesla to get that upside while protecting your downside. And I'm gonna put a link to that video right here. There's also gonna be a link down below in the description and comments. We talk about the 5 mistakes most investors are making in Tesla. And I promise you're likely making at least one of them too. So definitely click here and check out this video so you can protect yourself in Tesla.